You are listening to the Retina UK online Belfast Local Peer Support Group meeting, recorded Tuesday, 16th of August 2022.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our third Retina UK Belfast Local Peer Support Group. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your evening to listen to our speaker this evening. My name, again, is Mark Baxter. I'm the Information and Support Coordinator for Retina UK. I support services like our local peer support groups across the UK and also our talk and support befriending service as well. I have RP. I was diagnosed when I was 9 years old and I'm now 40, so I've been living with sight loss for the past 3 decades. It's nice to do these groups because not only am I a member of staff of Retina UK, I'm also one of the sight loss community as well. So I really do enjoy bringing people together in either online social group or in face-to-face engaging as well, which we do both in-person meetings and also online, which hopefully this group will evolve to later on in the year, and will continue into 2023 with our first in hopefully in January. I'm now going to pass over to Jack Hadnum, who will talk about his sight loss journey and also his professional career as a captain in the British Army, and also some of his pastimes and hobbies with Blind Veterans UK. So I'm going to hand over to Jack now. Thank you very much, Jack, for your time and talking to us this evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark, and good evening, everyone. Well, I don't know how many of you heard Jennifer on the talk last month about the base camp in Everest. And when I was asked to do this, I thought, well, what on earth can I contribute? And I thought, well, yes, I possibly can. Now, my story is completely different. I had what you would probably call a normal life, maybe not normal in your eyes, but certainly normal in mine, until the age of 61. Now, I don't normally give my age away because people either disbelieve me or think I'm telling porkies. And the sort of reaction I get was last week, I was on a climbing wall. And someone said to me, what age are you? I said, 79. And they looked at me as though I should be in the funny farm or in a nursing home. Well, why do you do this? Because it's there. So my story will be different. I'm going to go through from my childhood, basically. So I'm going to refer to the 1950s, right through to my end of my army career in 1984. Now, I was born in Bangor, County Down, and I lived in Bangor until about 6 years old. And then for some reason, my father was Scots, decided to move back to a rather squalid area in Leith in Edinburgh, where I lived until I was probably 20 years old. Now, for the younger people, this is quite strange because in those days, in the 1950s, there was no iPhones, there was no Xboxes, there was no TV, there was nothing at all. You made your own amusement. We played hopscotch. We did even skipping ropes, marbles, climbing trees, making basic wooden little go-karts, roller skating and so on. And then when I got into school, of course, then the options were, I think the highlight of the week actually was listening to the Archers on the radio. And when I got into school, I got involved in sports, and I was actually school sports captain, and I played basketball, I went to school, not rugby, that's say football, water polo. Because of my size, I ended up doing the power sports like the hammer, shot put, the javelin, and so on. And then I got involved in rugby later, and I've actually played rugby for Scotland at Lansdowne Park in Dublin. I used to love ice skating, and I got involved in ice skating, and I played for the Murrayfield Royals ice hockey team in Edinburgh. I also, so rugby, ice hockey. I did amateur wrestling, Greco-Roman and catch as catch can, not the cabaret stuff you see on TV. Those guys have got to be very, very athletic, of course. And I did something called power yoga, which concentrates on muscle strength, stamina, and breathing. My party piece then was I could break a 6-inch nail in 12 seconds with my bare hands. So I've been pretty active all my life. And anyway, I joined the army when I was 20 years old, the Royal Tank Regiment. In those days, army sports were quite limited really to football, and also to tug of war. And because of my size and strength, I was always the anchor. I did try judo, but although I did wrestling, I did not like being thrown around the mat by a rather sadistic instructor. So I gave that one up as a bad job. Anyway, so that really is, so, then I was in the army for 22 years. The stories within stories. I played in a band actually, which was sent to the Far East, Borneo, Brunei, playing in the jungle for the troops and what they call hearts and minds, people in the jungle, and other things. But it was quite an interesting career anyway. But where do we go from there? So from 1984, I uprooted my family, at that time a wife and 2 sons, and we went to South Africa in search of a job. Now, rather strange situation out there. You couldn't get a job without a work permit, and you couldn't get a work permit without a job. Now, I just simply took a chance, and luckily for me, it worked. So out there, what did I do? I got involved with a company of timber harvesting and sawmilling, exporting, manufacturing. But also I kept my fitness going out there. I did aerobics, high impact aerobics, but with weights in my ankles and my arms. I did a sailing course, and I then passed this in a 47-foot yacht. So I became a qualified skipper for the local privately owned fishing boats and yachting. My sons and I, we all had motorbikes. We did not motorbike racing, but motorbike breakfast runs at the weekends, or a bit of actually horse riding. And yeah, so anyway, there really is not much more. Well, there's probably stories within stories there, but I won't get involved in that. But I was also involved in a light plane crash on landing, so it wasn't that serious. It was serious enough. So let me just think about this now. In 1995, I went back, because I'd been in the army actually, I ended up in the UDR, Defence Regiment, serving in Belfast, and the UDR soldiers were really a target for the IRA. But when I left the army in '84 and went to South Africa, I hadn't been back to Ireland for a number of years since my mother was sick. So in 1995, the company I worked for very kindly took 12 of the staff from South Africa over to Twickenham for the Rugby World Cup. So I popped over to Ireland to see my mother, and she was fine. So every year for about 25 years, I've commuted back and forward every year. And anyway, so where do we go from here? Anyway, in 2004, actually, after a flight from Johannesburg to London to 10 hours, 40 minutes, the following day, I was blind in my right eye, which scared the life out of me. Anyway, I went to the Royal Victoria Hospital, and they were checking for diabetes or a stroke or a brain scan. Well, being Irish, I haven't got a brain for a start, so that didn't help. But anyway, so it was classified as idiopathic optic neuritis. In other words, something damaged the optic nerve. And that was the end of that. But it will never happen to your other eye. In any event, I finally got back to South Africa. But a month later, after the swelling went down, I got back to work for a while, learning to drive a car using one eye, no depth of field, which was quite difficult. And about 3 months down the line, I noticed, working on the computer, that my vision was a little bit blurred. And I thought, I'm just tired. But the following day, I knew it wasn't, it was something more serious. So I contacted my specialist, a chap called Dr. Bill Nokia, a very highly respected optical surgeon, and I went to see him. And I got in his office, and the first thing he said to me was, "You're from UK, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "You've got MS." Well, I nearly died on the spot. I just couldn't believe what he said to me. He said, "You need a neurosurgeon, not me." And as it happens, we've got private medical insurance over there. So the same day, I went to see a Dr. Bagwan, a neurosurgeon, and he sat me down and said, "Well, I've done this job for many, many years. I do not think you've got MS." So anyway, so they said the proof is actually in doing blood tests and taking a lumbar punch, or spinal tap, some people might call it. The blood tests were analyzed locally. The spinal tap, the lumbar punch had to be sent back to UK for analysis, and the results were going to take 3 months. So I had 3 months of absolute misery, not knowing, in addition to losing my eyesight, that I have MS as well. Ultimately, I was called back in to see Dr. Bagwan, and he said to me, "I told you so. You haven't got MS." I said, well, doctor, where do we go from here? I said, nowhere, there's nothing I can do. He said, well, what I will do is put you on a course of steroids to try to save what sight you've got left in your left eye. And at that stage, I was about to go, well, I was due to go up to a place called Bloemfontein, about 400 miles away, for an uncle's 80th birthday. And I said to this doctor, I said, look, you've seen my condition. Do you think my eyesight is stable enough to let me drive up there? So yes, carry on. Anyway, we drove up the 400 miles, we had the party, and on the way back, I got about a third of the way, and I stopped the car, and I said to my wife, here's the keys, I can't see anything. So she drove back to Durban. So that was pretty scary, actually. So really, that took the wind from my sails, and I have been so active all my life. When I think of what I've done, just to suddenly to accept the fact, what do I do from here? And I just simply didn't know what to do. So anyway, back to Durban. Of course, I had to give up my job, which hurt. My wife was still working at the time in Durban. And I had said to her, well, not at that stage. So I think I spent the next year in an alcoholic haze, if I'm perfectly honest. I just didn't know what was going on. And then finally I said to my wife, my second wife, that is, look, I think I'd like to go back to UK. I can't be in South Africa. I can't see. It's dangerous for a start. And I would like to spend some time with my mother. So anyway, Margaret said, look, we'll try it for a year and see what happens. So she came over actually with me. And she's still here, although we're not together anymore. But then she came back and she just loves the UK. Spent time with my mother. And in 2000, just I'm thinking of dates now. I should have written this down. But 2006, 2007, I suddenly became aware of Blind Veterans UK. Now, I'm going to give them a punch here before I go on. It used to be called Saint Dunstan's. And this was formed in 1915 by a chap called Sir Arthur Pearson, who himself was blind, and he was a newspaper publisher. And he decided to try to help out people from the First World War who were blinded by arranging to teach them actually things to use their hands and fingers as their eyes, to teach them a telephone exchange operation, basket weaving, shoe repairing, physiotherapy, and even piano tuning. So he opened this up to people then with blinded and on active service only. So then as the years wore on, there was the First World War, the Second World War, there was Korea, there was Afghanistan and Iraq, Falklands as well. So as people began to die off in 2002, I beg your pardon, 2000, they opened the door to people like me who lost the sight after leaving the service. Now that really turned my life around, although I didn't really get benefit from it until my mother sadly passed away in 2011. So between 2008, I did a few things with blind veterans, but after Mum passed away, then my hands were pretty much, I was free to do what I wanted really. So I got involved first of all in what they call activities weeks. And with these, they try to get you to do things outside the norm, push yourself to your limit, get out of your comfort zone, and accept challenges. And we did things like rock climbing, abseiling. I'll stop at abseiling for a moment. I was absolutely terrified of heights. As a young lad, I actually tried to climb with a friend one of the crags, cliffs in Arthur Seat in Edinburgh. And I got so close to the top and I made the mistake of looking down. And boy, that was me. I just simply froze solid. I could neither go up nor down. Anyway, I was coaxed to the top, finally got up there. I thought, that's me and heights, finished, never again. So when we did the abseiling with blind veterans at the activities weeks, you first of all obviously start with a fairly gentle drop. And then we got on to Lookout Point in Cornwall, which is quite a formidable cliff. Now, the biggest fear was not the height. I was probably 15 stone at that time, and I was so worried about this tiny little ring in the rock, and this little skinny rope. And I said to the guy, is this going to take my weight before I lean back into space, into nothing? So anyway, the answer was yes. And in that instance, actually, my feet slipped as I was trying to lean back, my feet slipped in the mud, and my chest came crashing into the rock face itself. So I just regained my balance and carried on with the abseil. And I went up and did it the second time. Again, challenges. On one of these activity weeks, we had a chap called Dave. I can't recall his name, but it doesn't matter. And we were doing dragon boat racing. And this chap, he came actually, and he was a little muscular guy, gold chains, yellow t-shirt, real, I thought this is a real little boxer type guy. and he was absolutely terrified of water. And he begged to be put ashore. There is an end to the story, by the way. He begged to be shut, and he was nearly in tears. So we got him ashore, that's fine. The next thing we were doing was something like a simulated parachute jump off a platform. And of course, you had to climb up to the platform, which we all did it without any hesitation. Dave got up to the platform, and he just simply couldn't do it. And he was cajoled. He was sworn at in good old army language. And finally, he actually, the option was to push him off. He said, Dave, you've either got to climb down or you've got to jump off. And he actually jumped. And he was actually in tears when he got down to the ground. But, you know, a year later, that guy was doing triathlons. He was swimming. He was doing all sorts of things just because he got that confidence from jumping off that platform. Quite a remarkable, actually, achievement for that chap. And I've seen him since then. He just carries on doing those things. So anyway, back onto the story. Rock climbing, abseiling, sea kayaking, canoeing, high wires, low wires. People don't know what they are. High wire, if you consider, I like to imagine two rugby posts side by side with wires strung between them, one low, one high, like a trapeze artist, really. And you go up there and you climb up onto the wire, and you hold the wire above you and try and traverse the gap in between. That's a high wire. So you do the low wire first of all to give you a bit of confidence, and then you go up about 15 feet to do the higher one. These are all, of course, safety controlled. You've got a harness on, etc. But still, it's quite daunting. Team building, building rafts. I mentioned dragon boat racing. Long hikes to sea, canoeing I've mentioned as well. I've done a couple of these. Now, the thing about this is, I only started doing these when I was at the age of 68. So I was quite old and doing this into my 70s. In fact, right up until last week, I've been doing things like that. Maybe not quite so intense. And the other thing that through blind veterans, they have a contact with a bit of a mouthful, the field gun section, the Fleet Air Arm of the Royal Navy. And these guys have been hosting blind veterans for 105 years, 107 years. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. That's 82 years. And they take us down to HMS Sultan at Gosport, which is a naval base. It's actually a camp. And again, we do things like gliding, out with sea rescue, sailing, canoeing sometimes. And so I was actually there last week, and we did that. What did we do? We did sailing on the Saturday. We didn't do the canoeing this year or the gliding. We did the horse riding. I've not been on a horse for over 30 years. I've never since I lost my eyesight. Just things to sort of just push you, just give you a bit of a shove, make you do things that you would not normally do, and just challenge yourself. So it's just so important that you try and do something out of the ordinary just now and again. Going back to my younger days, I was actually a bouncer at a nightclub in Edinburgh. A few other odd things as well, but in essence, I've done an awful lot in my life, and to lose my eyesight to me was an absolute, really disastrous blow. I just couldn't cope with that at first of all. But the blind veterans and the sort of motto, the slogan is life after sight loss, and they just try to motivate people to come and do something a bit extra, show them that there is life after sight, like there really is, and to get on with and do things. Now, again, a little punt for blind veterans. If any of the people listening know of anyone who was in the armed forces and they've got a sight problem, I would recommend getting in touch with blind veterans. If you want to get my details through Mark, I'm more than welcome. We would love to have new members. The members are dying off. We've got about 4,000 members at present. We had a centre in Brighton, which has just closed down, but they're opening up a new one next year. I think it's Rustingford near Worthing. And they've got a centre in Llandudno. Now, I've been at these centres probably at least 20 times over the last 15 years. And it really, well, I had a driving week as well, when I think about it. That was 5 years ago. I've driven a tank, I've driven a 4-ton truck, I've driven a dune buggy, quad bike, a personal hovercraft, and go-karts. And I've got my name again down to do this in October the 16th this year. So there's so much going on. And even locally, I play bowls. There's a game called boccia. These are all aimed at people with visually impaired. There's probably a local canoeing club, there's sailability. There's all sorts of things out there if you're prepared to go and look for them and try to just push, just make an effort. I mean, you've got to have some sort of goal, some sort of aim in life. Sailing, people like sailing. There is a charity called Visa GB, Visually Impaired Sailing Association of Great Britain. And I've done three separate weeks with them, 2 from Cornwall and 1 from Scotland, around the Scottish Sea Locks. And the first one I did, there was 53 visually impaired or blind people on there, 23 yachts and 83 skippers and crew to help you. And that's open to both sexes of any age. You sleep in the boats. It's a very social thing as well. And what else can I say? I probably had some more in my mind, but I didn't take any notes over this. So perhaps actually maybe that's I should shut up for a while and let people ask me any questions if they want to. So can I open that to the floor if anyone would like to ask me anything about what I've done, what I haven't done? Would that be okay, Mark?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you very, very much, Jack. That was very inspirational. What you've done both professionally in your career and before your sight loss, and what you're continuing to do. After you started losing your sight at I won't offend you at saying a senior age, but it hasn't stopped you from ploughing on and doing all of these amazing things, so much more than that I've ever done in my life. And I'm half your age, but I just hope that I've got your drive, determination, and just sheer grit to carry on and try new things. When I'm 79 years old, it's just an amazing life that you've had, and we really do appreciate you coming and spending time to share it with us. It's absolutely amazing. Has anybody got any questions for Jack? He's done quite a lot. I'm sure that there's other things that you haven't done that you would like to do.
Well, I think Kim is trying to encourage me to do a skydive on my 80th birthday.
I'll get Kim to come along with you. You say, I'll do it if you do it.
I'm not worrying about jumping out of the aircraft. I'm worrying about breaking a leg when I land and not being able to do anything after that for a while.
Do you know, Jack, I've done 4 skydives, and they're just an amazing experience. And every single jump that I've done has been at a different height, and it's just come with a different time of year, and it's just giving it a different experience. And I've got a dream to go to New Zealand to do the next one, because you can't jump at the height that I want to jump at in the UK because it's a small island and there's too much airspace. But in New Zealand, they've got different laws and you can jump from a lot higher up, and it's a oxygen controlled jump as well from 18,000 feet. So that's the next thing on my bucket list. So,
One I didn't mention either, 5 years ago, I actually broke my left foot in a motorbike accident. And then people say, well, what the hell are you doing in motorbikes at your age? Well, I just like challenges, basically.
Yeah.
And the first thing you do is when you get back on again.
Yeah, that's it.
It's life's a challenge. My son always said that you've never got a problem, you've only got challenges. You've just got to face up to them and do them and try and motivate yourself. People won't even get on the bus, but I've been to South Africa and back on my own.
Yeah,
nearly totally blind. You can do it if you want to. Don't say you can't do it, because if that's your attitude, you're never going to do anything.
Yeah, and you pass up opportunities. That's one thing that I've learned from a lot of people that have spoken here about their life stories, is they've just taken a chance or an opportunity, and it has just opened a door, which has just sent them down a path where they've achieved different things, all sorts of things that you would never think possible about doing. So, I've always lived by the ethos: if you can't see fear, what's the point being afraid of it? So, has anybody got any questions for Jack at all?
All I want to say is, it's Andrea here, sorry, 18,000 feet, no thanks. Sorry, no to a skydive anytime, but my partner, she has done a bungee jump and stuff.
Yes.
But no, I think I'll just stick to my tennis. That's something else you can try, Jack, the tennis.
Well, yeah, look, there's a couple of other things. One, I tried surfing, but bearing in mind I was in South Africa, Durban, for 20 odd years.
That's where my partner's from.
Top of the water, there were too many things with sharp teeth under the water.
Whoa.
My
She
surfing
used to do
experience
underwater
actually,
cage diving, I think it was.
so my
She did.
surfing experience was actually in Cornwall, and I loved it. I wish I'd done it before.
No,
Um,
but you'll have to try tennis. And definitely, Jack, you do not sound 79. I was very shocked when I heard that.
well, that's why I usually say I'm over the age of consent.
But you don't sound that at all. I thought you were much, much younger than that,
Yeah,
to be fair.
when I tell people my age, you get some strange reactions. Why do you do what you do? I say, well, life's very short. You've got to make the best. You've got to enjoy it, basically.
Yeah, but I certainly have loved your story and hearing everything that you've done. And yeah, I hope it gives other people some inspiration to.
I didn't mention also that I played in a band actually way back in 1966, and the army and the wisdom centers across from Malaya across to Borneo, Brunei, Labuan, Singapore, Kuching, and we actually played what they call hearts and minds in some of the local villages. We were in helicopters, we were in riverboats, we were in aircraft, we were in trucks, all sorts of things actually. And just
Wow, that's
an
amazing.
amazing experience actually.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
actually come under fire. A plane must be very bad one night. We're in Borneo, in the jungle, and playing for the Scots Guards and come under attack. So I have all sorts of sort of side stories there as well, and involved in a slight in a light aircraft crash on landing in South Africa. We were stranded for 24 hours, and we got home again. I've been through all sorts of things actually.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear about all of
I
that.
didn't mention, which is very important actually. Sorry, I'm going back in myself now. 2002, I had a very serious back injury, and my spinal cord was tangled up in the vertebrae, and I ended up having really major surgery. I was lucky I did not end up in a wheelchair, but I've got 2 plates and 6 very large screws in my back. And the problem with that is it doesn't let me bend. So I shouldn't be doing things like climbing up rocks or a lot of the things like the sea kayaking will strain on my back. I'm just stubborn, that's all.
No. Wow, that's incredible. Have you ever thought about commissioning your memoirs, Jack, or a book?
Well, I could just about write, but it might have to be X-rated in certain parts, but yes.
It'd be interesting to read, definitely.
Has anyone got any questions or anything that you do to inspire other people, whether it's an outdoor activity or something from your life, that a work that you still do, or
look, I've moved around a lot, but even in Bangor, we play bowls once a week. We've got a walking group, we've got a men's lunch group, we've got an Apple IT group. I sort of mentioned these camps, but last week I was sailing on Saturday. I was horse riding. I was doing archery. I was playing bowls. We had walked 5 miles. We had a walking race. Just keep going all the time. But I don't really have much contact with many people, Mark. That's the problem. I've moved around all my life, so all my contacts at my age, most of them are dead anyway. This last week was my 10th camp with the Royal Navy, and I intend to go again next year. And that climbing a wall won't beat me next year, that's for sure. I got about 2/3 of the way up, and there was actually I say, well, if I hadn't did 2 pints of cider before I tried the wall, I might have made it to the top. But that's a true story, that one. I got into trouble for that. You shouldn't have been to the climbing wall at all, let alone at your age.
You were seeing hand grips that weren't actually there, or you were seeing 2 of them.
So maybe it wasn't very cohesive, but anyway, that's probably the best I can do.
It's absolutely incredible.
Can I just ask a question? Maybe it's Alison Wallace here. I'm considering my 12-year-old son who's facing visual loss. You said when you lost your sight, you had a really difficult year. What could have got you through that? What made you decide, to pick yourself up and get out there?
I think at that stage it was alcohol. I had a dismal year. My wife was working Monday to Friday, and I was left on my own. And there's nothing I could do. I did have a very good friend, an Indian friend, in fact, that I worked with in shipping. The companies I work for, timber harvesting company, and shipping, importing, exporting. And this chap called Chris came around once a week, and we went out for see mutual clients, and we had a beer. there was nothing really much I could do. Just that I made up my mind, and I had to see my mother before that she or I fell off a respected perches. And sadly, she passed away in 2011. It was only then. I got involved with blind veterans before then, but I was pretty much tired. I did go to the summer camps at that stage, but they're less intense than the activities weeks and the what you call it, activities weeks. And the driving weeks, but I've also done fishing weeks over there, done a photographic course over there. How I got through it, I really was so depressed. I just couldn't cope with it. You lose your self-esteem, you lose your confidence, and even now, I mean, I'm not the same as I was 20 years ago before I lost my eyesight. And you just have to get through it. I know with a boy of that age, it's going to be extremely very hard for him to try to motivate him. I don't know how you can do that, to be perfectly honest.
He loves sport, and he's still very involved in sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose we've got him into, he played rugby. He still does to a degree, but we're sort of steering him down the route of athletics now, because obviously there are more opportunities in athletics as you're visually impaired. But he finds evenings very long. Some of his friends are on the Xbox and PlayStation. He can't do that.
Yeah.
So boredom definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I even missed out the fact that in 2011, I was actually swimming a mile a day, Monday to Friday, and go to gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then suddenly, my kidneys nearly collapsed completely, and that was the end of that. And there's a lesson there. My doctor says, do not go into like a swimming pool, like a public sauna or a jacuzzi or steam room full of germs. And that could have been how I had the kidney problem.
Mm.
So that was the end of my swimming. I have swum since, but at blind veterans in Brighton.
Mm.
Have you, sorry, I was going to say to you, Alison, have you thought of getting in touch with Disability NI? Because they may have some things that your son can get involved in. I know they used to have a youth tennis group as well at the club I play. I don't think they're back at the minute, but they do have children's groups that are at our tennis club, but maybe Disability NI or even guide dogs to see if they can also help maybe with a My Guide, so somebody that will go out with your son sometimes on an evening that, do something, maybe go football
Okay,
match.
and certainly, so I know guide dogs have done a little bit with them. They were trying to get a group of sort of similar aged kids to do cookery skills, and he loves cooking, so that hopefully is in the pipeline. But no, I'll look into Disability NI. Is that sports specifically? Or?
Yeah, it's Disability Sports NI.
Okay, I'll look into that. Thank you.
What we'll do is we'll put all of what we've been speaking about into the follow-up email. So anything that anyone's talked about, we will find the information, email addresses and contact telephone numbers, and we'll put that in the follow-up email along with the YouTube audio link to our channel for this meeting. But there's also British Blind Sport, which are very good.
Yeah.
There's also another charity that looks after children. Unfortunately, Retina UK only support people from the age of 18 upwards, but we can certainly support parents with children that have got sight loss and especially in an inherited retinal dystrophy, like was it rod-cone dystrophy, was it, or cone-rod? Rod-cone dystrophy. And we can signpost you to other organisations like Look, who have active groups. I'm not sure where in Northern Ireland they might have one, but they can certainly recommend activity groups or sports that your boy would like to get involved in, and athletics is a very good one to try. And we can also forward you a couple of videos of, we've had 2 sports personalities actually speak at other meetings that we've held in the summer. One of them was a a 2 times world champion tandem cyclist by the name of Emma Fahy, and she's blind from birth, and she has gone on to achieve some amazing medals and an amazing cycling career, which she's still doing with her husband, who's also blind as well, who's just competed in the Commonwealth Games actually and come away with more medals. So athletics is a really good avenue to explore, and they are with the Paralympic Games. It's something that could be an eye-opener, to excuse the pun, for your boy to get involved in. There's lots of different sports that he can try, whether it's track, field, or swimming, you know, or cycling. So I can certainly help you with finding other organisations or signposting to help your boy succeed. I can't play PlayStation or Xbox anymore, but sometimes that's all kids, like Jack wanted to do. Jack said is that's all kids do now, is they're on their phone, they're on their Xboxes. They don't actually go outside anymore and actually kick a football around or climb trees or do anything the days before these consoles were invented. So getting him around other children of his age with also sight loss will help with his self-esteem, boredom, confidence, and they'll kind of shape him through his teenage years.
Yeah, so I'm one of the C Sports Differently champions, and I don't know how, it's Andrea again, sorry, I don't know how far you're willing to sort of travel, but another good group is called Vision Sports Island. Well, they are based down south, but they do a really good event every year called Mayfest, and they have like all different types of sports you can try, like rowing, row machine. They've done sailing, walking. They had a tennis exhibition there. They did some golf, and they had football, and so that's something else that they do tend to do, is the Mayfest, and that's really good actually. So yeah, but if I can help from a C Sports Differently champion avenue, I certainly will be more than happy to try.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, Alison, can I just ask you a wee question too? Is your son known to the Children and Young People team in the RNIB?
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes,
yeah,
actually, I'm not sure, Emma Jane. I know he's known to guide dogs, but I don't know that he is to RNIB necessarily.
It would be Laura McCauley, Donna McNichol, or Charlene. I can't remember her surname now, but no, they're very good at getting the young people together and doing different activities and taking them away weekends and stuff like that. It's
because again, with COVID, he got his diagnosis and he hasn't actually really met anybody else with a visual impairment. He's at mainstream school and managing well, thankfully, but he hasn't met other kids maybe his age, just to talk to, I suppose.
There's also Angel Eyes. Sorry, I'm not quite sure how old they go up until, but there is Angel Eyes NI as well.
Yes, yeah. And again, Angel Eyes, we've been in touch with them. Great charity. They seem to have children with a lot of other disabilities as well. So I don't know how appropriate some of their activities have been, maybe. And maybe that's my issue as much as our sons. Yeah,
you should maybe get in contact with somebody from the RNIB, because they are very good now, the Children and Young People team, for taking them away and stuff like that and getting them together. Like, I'm an eye care liaison officer, but I work for the Western Trust. But you haven't been speaking then to an ECLO even. Where was he diagnosed? Which hospital?
He was diagnosed in the Royal, and there was an ECLO there.
Emer?
Whose name was Emer? Yes.
Yeah. If you have her number, or she'll be a good contact. Yeah, they have. To get you in touch with them.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Yes, I'll do that.
Does he like music, or is that not really his thing?
My husband and I would love him to try and learn to play an instrument, but he's saying no at the minute.
A very simple one would be to play the ukulele.
I need to learn that, Jack. You
That's a
can teach
natural
me.
instrument to play. And, I play guitar, and I've actually played banjo in the past, and I've actually played mandolin, not very well perhaps, but the ukulele, I've actually got one here, and it's so simple.
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, so simple to play.
And do you have to be able to read music, or do you need to learn to
No,
read music?
no,
Or,
you can
no?
learn by
There's so
ear.
much stuff. There's so much stuff on YouTube as well. You can just listen to it.
Okay.
You need to know the basic chord shapes. It's only 4 strings, so it's a small instrument as well. I mean, I don't know if you. I'm sure you know what one looks like, do you?
Yeah.
So it's quite small for a child. Easy. It should be easy enough to play.
Okay, we'll try that. Thank
I
you.
just don't even know the basic chords, but yeah, it's a lovely instrument. I have to say, I agree with Jack on that. It is a nice instrument. But yeah, sorry, I was going to say Open Arts also do like programs with children as well. I think they've done some work with Age Alive as well. So yeah, it might be possible to link in with them, because I do a lot with those as well. So
I don't know about the children, but certainly most actually towns have got a community hub, and though they're not specifically designed for visually impaired or disabled people, they do things like the walking groups, armchair yoga. They've got sewing clubs, they've got ukulele lessons. So there are a lot of things out there for people that, if they're prepared to go, sort of just make the effort and do it. Yeah. And just one final thing come to mind. When I turned 70, my son's working in Russia at the time sent me a birthday gift. And when I went out to see it, it was actually dark in South Africa at the time. It was in the back of my son's van. I said, "Well, Sean, what is it?" He said, "Dad, it's a quad bike." I said, "Does your brother not know I can't see?" He says, "Yes, but he knows you're going to ride it anyway." And I did. I think he thinks I'm a bit nutty.
Brilliant.
But in South Africa, I've still got a big house over there, and there's about 2 acres in front of the house.
Oh wow!
Well, I know I'm either going uphill or downhill. So maybe I'm a bit of a nutcase. Maybe I should be in the funny farm.
It's almost 8 o'clock, and I'm sure if you haven't eaten your dinner, that you're starting to get a little bit hungry. And obviously, we don't want to keep you on here all night. We want to get you back to your evenings. Has anyone got any final questions or any support for each other in terms of activities, or any final questions for Jack before we all depart? No. If anyone does need any support from Retina UK in regards to setting up your own local peer support group in your area, or if you would prefer a one-to-one telephone befriending, then you can contact Retina UK in a series of ways. You can call our office, which is 01280 821 334. You can email us at info@retinauk.org.uk, or we have a telephone and email helpline. The telephone number for the helpline is 0300 111 4000. That's open 9:30 in the morning to 9:30 at night. So if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, any support that you might need. And we also have a brand new service, which is our Discover Wellbeing support service. So if anybody is struggling with their mental or their physical well-being, whether you've just been diagnosed, whether you're a parent living with a child or a sibling or a family member that has sight loss and you want to help support them better, it's a module that you can do through our website. Gradually, it's both downloadable text, which is screen reader compatible, and there's also videos on there as well that you can listen to with step-by-step guides on how to manage and improve your well-being. It's in collaboration with the Arthur Ellis Trust as well. So they've got together, we've collaborated on this wellbeing module to help support those living with sight loss, family members, and if you're a volunteer or anything like that from another organisation, it will help you with your well-being as well. So that's a new service that just launched in July. So if you're interested in checking out any of our information, you can visit us at www.retinauk.org.uk. We also have a fantastic research program that we help fund research projects across the UK in all concepts of inherited retinal dystrophies. We help fundraise for these for this research and clinical trials and anything else that is for retinal dystrophies. We also have, if anyone hasn't had their genetic testing or know what the diagnosis is of their eye condition, we have a sister site called Unlock Genetics, which kind of unravels the jargon about unlocking the genetics in genetic testing and genetic counselling and what it all means. You know, from passing it on to siblings, you know, or children and next generation, and where it's come from. So that's also good to look out for, which you'll find on our homepage. So if there is any other information, then you can contact me directly. You all have my work email address. With any other questions that you would like to talk to us about, then I'm more than happy to support any of you with any of your inquiries. Has anyone got any final questions?
Mark, I'd just like to, again, finally about Blind Veterans UK, if anyone knows anything, it's an ex-Army, Navy or Air Force or any of the emergency service, in that case, injured on duty. Great organisation, they can do a lot of people they do all sorts of things.
No, what we'll do, Jack, is we'll put their contact information in the follow-up email. So anyone that does know any servicemen that may want to get in touch with Blind Veterans UK, and they can forward that information on as well. But I'd like to thank you again, Jack, for your wonderful story.
Well, I don't know about that, Mark.
An
I don't
amazing.
think it was very well done, but never mind.
No, it was an amazing experience. It was brilliant. You've had quite a life, you know, before your sight loss, and you're continuing to strive and just to prove to people that sight loss really does not stop you from doing whatever you want to do and whatever you want to achieve. If you have a dream, whether you can see it or not see it, just try and grab it and go for it. I've definitely inspired. You know, I've got fundraising that I would like to do next year. I'm losing my sight at a rate of knots as well, so I haven't got much vision left myself, but it's definitely given me the inspiration to carry on and try new things. So, and my next skydive as well, so I won't ever stop doing that. So I'll recommend that to anybody. So thank you everyone for attending our Belfast local peer support group meeting this evening. I do apologise. We will hopefully have our facilitator Kim Lamb back with us. Unfortunately, she is unwell, but we wish her all the best.
Oh dear, hope she gets better soon.
Yeah, we wish her.
She had her operation today, Andrea, so she hopefully will be home by the weekend.
No, we wish you all the best. And
okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for putting up.
Thank you very, very much for everyone for coming, and we wish you all a pleasant evening.
Okay.
Thank you. Really
Thank you.
enjoyed it. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you have enjoyed this recording. If you have any questions, queries, or wish to leave any feedback, then please leave it in the comment section below. Alternatively, you can send your inquiries to info@retinauk.org.uk. Contact us via the telephone on 01280 821 334 or call our helpline on 0300 111 4000, which is open Monday to Friday 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. If you would like to know more about our local peer groups, when your next meeting will be held, or if you wish to get involved in creating your own group, or would like to know more about our services that Retina UK provides, then please visit our information and support page on our website www.retinauk.org.uk. retinauk.org.uk and navigate to our local peer group page. Thanks again for listening. We hope to see you again soon. Take care and bye for now.